Good day, everyone, and we are live again with our guest speaker, Anne Schweppenhäußer. And currently, we are actually talking about the narrative coaching, and this is our second episode. Hello and welcome, Anne. As usual, you are always fascinating and always coming in with a great energy and value. How are you today?
So thank you so much, Sharaf. Thank you for inviting me again. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about narrative coaching.
Yeah, it's a very actually talked about topic that many coaches actually are want to advance their career into embracing the principles of narrative coaching as well. Some leaders actually want to know how to benefit from narrative coaching. So, what are you bringing today?
I'm bringing today let me check that out. So this is the narrative of having tech involved. So thank you so much. So what I'm bringing today is that we're talking about two questions, and those two questions might come around. And I'm still struggling with some tech issues here. So probably now it's going to work. So what is the headline of your current chapter in life? And my headline of the last 1 minute was struggling with tech, but it's not a real story. And how does a narrative coach work with your story? And perhaps you recall what we talked about last time about the piece of storytelling. And this today is more about being a coach, being a leader, and using the elements of narrative coaching as well. And perhaps you recall that stories are so important. They are really so important for mankind in order to show and in order to give information and insights to the next generation. And therefore, the question that steers me the whole time is the question, what is your story? And what is the kind of story is missing in the world that only can be told by you? And why am I talking about stories right now? Because these stories are important for mankind, and perhaps we are in the threshold of new stories in not only in our personal life, in our professional life, or as well in the life cycle of this planet. And probably there is a special headline that comes to your mind now. And let's take my story as an example. This is the usual introduction, how I introduce myself. And one of the pieces is I'm managing partner with Cicero Organisationsentwicklung. And there is a whole story in itself that started in 2002 and 2003 with an advertisement in a newspaper. And a neighbor showed me there is a company looking for trainers and coaches. Perhaps you might apply there. And I applied there, kind of, and took part of training, management trainer and change manager. And this was my training, and there are lots of stories in it as well in this decision. Do I want to become management trainer and change manager? How this group evolved with us, and then about 5 years later, to form a new identity within Cicero, to become managing partner, and to stand on that threshold in order when this identity formed and how it has evolved throughout the last, let's say, 12, 13 years. So there's a story in it when there are kind of thresholds or forks in the road where you have to have a decision around, am I going to the right? Am I going to the left? Or am I just pausing for a moment and wait if there is another opportunity or a new story evolving out there? So probably this is for the beginning, but perhaps we are a little bit ahead of time. So
let me know what would be your new story for Cetero, for the next period. So
for whom? Sorry?
What is your new story being a managing partner for Cicero for the next period?
For the next periods, well, in order to shapen the profile or the portfolio, and just say we are not doing everything. We're just focusing on something specific. And probably coaching might be something specific, or coach education might be something specific. And I think the idea behind it is not to forget everything we've done before, just to sharpen and to go out there with a kind of new story that is more clear and more bright for our clients and our customers as well.
Wow. That's profound. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I'd like you to see another question that came across last week for me, and I think this is a question that I ponder around, and your question, Sharaf, went in it as well. And I was given the information that there is a Margaret Wheatley out there, and Margaret Wheatley asked 8 questions for fearless leaders. And these information are available out there. And one of her first questions were, how do you call yourself? So what is the term or the information that you're bringing out there? How do you identify yourself? And have you chosen a name for yourself that is big enough to hold your work's life? And with these questions, I realized, okay, I'm a psychologist. This is a story in itself. I'm a coach. This is a story in itself. And what will be the container of the story that really holds not the accomplishments in profound way, but in giving back the world what or how the story evolved. But let's not get involved. And I suppose that narrative coaching deeply influenced my life in order to focus on those questions and to go with those questions and to ponder around with those questions, and then to come to conclusions with those questions as well.
Yeah, this question that you asked, that Margarita asked, how do you call yourself, is ringing a bell to me. Like what like a leader can name himself or put himself, like a logo, or put for himself an identity, and
Yes.
create a story around this identity that he shares with the community. And actually, this makes either acceptance or rejections from the others. People can accept your story or they can reject it.
Yes.
It's a totally act of vulnerability, and I believe it's an act of courage. Yeah.
And while reflecting the last couple of months as well with you in our coaching supervision training, there seems to be red threads around, and really to give these red threads names, to give it a name, and to make it a container for what you are belonging to and what you're becoming, and to give these terms or these kind of containers of vision. Probably vision is a better word for the people coming from corporate world, to give this a name and to kind of grow into this story that you like to tell the public and to tell the world as well, to make a contribution to the development in your community and in society as well.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah.
And actually, how can leaders make benefit from these opportunities, like with
So then I'm going to let's just have a look on the next slides, because the story how I came into narrative coaching might be not that interesting for the leaders. Realize this is the hugest certificate I ever got. So it's about 40 centimeter huge. So the next one here probably is a little bit more straightforward. And David Drake, in his speech in Sydney in April 2018, he said, okay, stop trying so hard making things happen. Instead, be courageously human with clients and as well with the people you are with around, and your co-workers and other people as well. And what he said is that there are some principles. I'd like to go through those principles, not going to the book. Those who are interested, look in the book, and please be cautious or be aware of it's a coach writing about coaching, and that there are a lot of stuff in it that is deeply thought through, and perhaps you might choose one page at a time to just ponder around. But to go through these narrative principles, and the first of those principles by David Drake are: trust that everything you need is right in front of you. So this is the question of, do you really trust that everything that you need is right in front of you? Or do you think that something else might be added or done or forced into or pulled or pushed or something? So how does this resonate with you, Sharaf, this first example?
I believe it's one reason of disappointments of many people, like they suffer in life because they feel something is missing, this void that they have, either internally for resources that they are longing for and they wished to have because they compare themselves with others, or some resources like external resources or materialistic or economic, things of economic value that they are actually reaching out for and think that their life will be better when they own it. So I believe that trusting that everything you need is right in front of you is something. It's a fundamental philosophy where that when living with it, you feel content, you feel satisfied all the time, you feel that everything that you are built for, you already have the resources that is needed to get, and it makes you in the moment very grateful and very feeling blissful and enjoying really the different blessings of life.
So thank you so much, and just stay and be in that trust. And there's the second one. No worries, there are only 6 of those principles, so we have time to go through them. Yeah. So be fully present to what is without judgment. Mm-hmm. Be fully present with what is without judgment. Without the judgment, this should be better, worse, higher, lower, bigger, smaller, or something else. And I think this is, for me, it was a great challenge as well in my work as a coach, to just be present and embrace what comes there. And this is what we often talked about, embracing the unknown, just realizing that there is something around here.
Yeah, I believe it's one of the hardest callings to leaders. Leaders are made to make judgments and make judgment calls, make decisions, and actually to call out, to move teams and shake strategies, and create competition. So how can a leader actually, or an executive, be fully present without judgment, and in the same time take soundly decisions and make proper judgments when it comes to strategy and leading their organizations?
And perhaps this is as well shown in the basics of nonviolent communication, because the first step in nonviolent communication is to show what you observed, what you really observed, and then to talk about your feelings afterwards, but to disconnect it and just have it in a certain or offer it to another person in a certain way.
Okay.
And then we go to the third. The third is, and this is as well very important, speak only when you can improve the silence. Speak only when you can improve the silence. Stop silly talking, stop nervous talking, stop just bubbling around, and speak only when you can improve the silence. And I suppose this does not make you do not speak with me again, Sharaf.
I like hearing your voice, Anne, so
Thank you.
That's in coaching practice, right? Not in live interviews, right?
This is
to be specific here.
And as well in interview practice, there are probably certain questions that needed to be given to another person, and as well to pause, relax, and open up and realize what really comes as an answer in that. And the next one is especially for coaches, and it has to do with focusing on generating experiences, not explanations. So when a person comes to you in the situation as a coach in a coaching, then this person has a lot of ideas, belief systems, and mindset around why it happens that this person is in this difficult or certain situation. And so you can continue with the person reinforcing these explanations or generate experience that might show the person, surprisingly, that other aspects might be relevant as well. So this is generating experiences, not explanations.
Oh. That's profound, and I believe that experiences come in from the role perception and from the reality perception, and how both of them exchange, interchange and align on what kind of story is being actually built or being manifested through the experience.
Yes. And to generate new experiences as well.
Yeah.
And here are the last two. And this is as well more likely to address coaches work directly with the narrative elements in the field. And what are the narrative elements? There is a narrator, there is a story, there are characters in the story, and there is a listener who is as well a witness. And sometimes what we realize, and as well leaders realize that too, that these are the first people listening to something that was well covered within a person, and just to speaking it out for the first time might be cathartic and revealing as well for the person, and relieving as well for the person.
So can you elaborate more on how to work with the narrative elements?
Just wait a minute for the next one, and then I have a little example for you.
Thank you.
No worries. The last one here is stand on the threshold when a new story is emerging. So watch out for openings. And I just promised you a small story, a little story, and I'd like to include the story into the narrative coaching model that David Drake created. And let's say we have a person called Klaus. It's a typical German name, Klaus. And this person is stuck in a professional situation, and perhaps he looks for new ideas how to go there. And within David Drake's model, there is the inner world and the outer world. There's past and there's future. And then there is a model that looks as if there are phases, but watch out, these are not phases. So when Klaus comes to a coaching session with a narrative coach, the narrative coach probably would ask Klaus, what's on your mind today? Joining in, being non-judgmental, and just asking, okay, what's on your mind today, in order to place Klaus completely in that situation. What's around here? What are the explanations that Klaus he thinks that he deserves a promotion, but his superiors don't think that he deserves the promotion. His colleagues are faster on the career track than he is, and Klaus gets more and more and more frustrated around it. So you will cover this in the first kind of phase, situate, to bring Klaus in the full experience of what's going on right now. And then a first threshold might come, and this threshold might be the turning point. So realizing what has happened here, Klaus goes around and realizes to search, okay, perhaps there's something in my own purpose that I realize that fits with my current position in that company, or that does not fit, or which kind of aspirations do I have, and how to search where there are options and where there are openings as well. And this kind of search phase comes along with more or less looking into several aspects of professional life. And the next kind of opening threshold is the pivot, because if there is one of those aspects that shows a little bit brighter or a little bit more likely that it is the purpose or more the purpose of Klaus, then you kind of move on into the next phase. I call it phase, knowing that it's no phase shift, and to really realize what matters here. So what is the new behavior? What are the experiments? And these experiments as well in a safe space and in this coaching conversation. Perhaps it is a conversation with the superior looking for promotion, asking for promotion, or asking for further development, or something like that. Because this is a profound insight David Drake has or had, that if the client can't show the new behavior in a coaching sequence, it would be less likely that it shows in real life as well. So there is to just look out for those practice elements. And the next one are the vectors of change, realizing what does it has to do with my own behavior, my aspiration, my environment, and my mindset as well, and to establish what the insights were throughout these 4, let's call it steps. And at the end of this, there need to be nudges. Nudges meaning, okay, what might help me to recall that there is a new mindset underway or new behavior underway. And then there's something in the middle, and this middle shows that this process is not linear. It might happen that in this search phase, you realize that there are some aspects of situated not well realized or well observed or well brought into the situation. Then you go back, and it might be as well that you go through these 4 phases several times. And therefore, it has something to do with, and you asked me before, how to work with these narrative elements.
Yeah.
Perhaps in this story that Klaus tells, it is about the relationship with his superior or with his colleagues. And probably it's more as well with the relationship with himself, about his own aspirations and his own expectations and his own self-image. And perhaps those other people tell him, well, you are not at this stage, and please develop further so that we can really see that you are incorporated the new kind of behavior for being eligible for the new position as well. So working with as well different perspectives, asking what might the superior think about, what might your colleagues think about, in order to raise insight not only on the brain level here, as well on the heart level, and perhaps as well deeper levels.
Well, that's really profound. And while you're saying it, as much as it seems simple, but actually taking on this narrative in a coaching session in just a dialogical approach, without putting the client in such a model, or like let them feel or sense that you're using a model or something, and moving between the different parts, between situate, search, shift, and sustain, without with no special order that needs a very advanced kind of presence. And I can relate now to the word experience and the thresholds of the new stories. Yes. I can now relate to these two terms that were used in the previous like quotes that you already quoted earlier in this episode.
And what was profound for me was, if you look into this, then it seems that it's the grow model in a different sequence, but with David Drake does not ask for goals. Mm-hmm. Because at a certain point he says, a client in the beginning of a conversation sometimes does not really know what he or she wants, because it's in the outer world, and it's kind of hidden between other layers, and to let those layers open up and to give this kind of conversation more depth, and then therefore more or different results to go into the inner world, and not only on the babbling phase.
Okay, so it's I believe it's I can see the difference when it comes to setting a goal in the beginning of the session, or just having a conversation, which is around 50% of the sessions. Really, clients are around. This is what I experience. This is from my experience. It's people really don't know what exactly they want to set as a target and a goal. Yes. Despite it's a competency in ICF to specify what do they want to work on by the end of the session, but it's in a way sometimes it's a far-fetched, especially in the beginnings. So this kind of rearranging the thoughts and putting some clarity and the stuff will support them actually to come up, and a goal may emerge later. After understanding the motives, the drivers, the mindsets, the explanations, the experiences, and what they really want for themselves in the future may emerge afterwards.
And therefore, this kind of conversations are about, for the listener, who is the witness as well, is about being relaxed, fully present, trusting that the client in itself, and this is what we always talked about, in itself will show herself or himself its own way, and just to be the company of that process that is underway already, or that has been underway already. So therefore, the term coaching might be completely understood differently. And you asked me around the leaders as well.
Yeah.
For leaders, they are in a completely different situation, because they have goals and they want their employees to act or react in different aspects or in different situations.
That's very true. That's very true.
Yes.
And I believe that it has been a very rich 30 minutes, and I believe that we still have a lot to say about narrative coaching. What do we have for, like, if we want to maybe summarize today's session, on stories in coaching, what would we actually tell our audience?
Approach conversations in a different mindset. Mm-hmm. Just be on the one side an observer, a fully present observer without judgment, and trust that everything is already there, and there is no development without being fully situated in what is. So if there is not the full experiences of what is currently, then a person probably might not be capable of kind of developing out of this situation into a brighter future that is more desired, but without knowing if it's really brighter there.
Wow. And what I believe that we still have another interview next month, right? Yeah. Can you tell us what to expect there?
Well, there I'd like to bring in the model that convinced me the most with narrative coaching. And in this situation, Sharaf, I'd like to be my buddy in order so that we can go through that model, and perhaps we just do a kind of a demo session around it, and going through different steps and going through what might be the outcome here, and to bring some other aspects in. It's always the same with me. I'd like to put in so much, and then to slow me down in order to deepen the experiences for our listeners.
Wow, amazing! So I'm fully in. So the next episode is actually we set already a date for it,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's September 1st. It's on Thursday.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's rock on.
Yes. So I'm keenly looking forward, and I wish all our listeners new stories till then, and perhaps revisiting some stories that are currently present, which you think, okay, let's have a look on it. Is it the skin that I'd like to wear as well into autumn and winter? Or perhaps there's something that wants to kind of change and grow into something new.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you. Actually, thank you, Anna. It was really an amazing interview today. I want to thank you for your time on this. And if you want to talk about your services that you offer to your clients through Cicero, or if you have some time to talk about it.
So thank you so much for this invitation, and it always catches me by surprise. So our and because in the beginning I said, okay, we're doing so. What I love to do is to develop or to help develop individuals, people, teams, in order to find their story in what is very tangible or what is substantial for them. And I think this is the story where you can call me in in order to find out what is the story that really supports us for our next step of development. So I make it short and simple, kind of short and simple, but it isn't. So thank you so much, Sharaf, for giving me this opportunity here.
You're welcome. Thank you, Anne, and thank you for your time. Thank you for your generosity in sharing all the the model of David Drake of the narrative coaching and these wonderful quotations, and bringing yourself and your story into this short interview. Thank you for that, and for everyone who is following us up. So you can actually put in your comments on, and actually we will follow up, myself and Anne, on your questions. And thank you for your following up, and thank you, and have a great day for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.